Hello everybody, this is TechHut. In this video, what we are going to be doing is talking about switching to Linux. As of recent, Linux Desktop has been getting more and more popular, whether that be through much better media coverage, the Steam Deck launch. There's a lot of playing factors here in why people are becoming more and more interested. But with that, personally, I do not believe you should just right now completely ditch Windows and install Linux. There are some things that you need to do prior to making the switch to actually be successful in your Linux journey. A lot of people who end up making the switch to Linux end up finding some sort of problem. A game doesn't run, an application they use doesn't work, they don't like the GUI environment.
And maybe it will install and launch now. What is the point of having a...
And there's a whole lot of things that you could do to avoid wasting just a whole bunch of time when you actually do eventually try to switch over to Linux. And specifically, this video is going to be 3 things that you need to do before you actually try to make that switch over to Linux, whether if you're just going to be installing it as your primary thing or even dual booting it. But you know what's actually really easy to make the switch to? And that's using Linode as your cloud hosting provider. Linode is awesome. It's the largest independent cloud service provider out there, and when you actually go to spin up a Linode, you can choose between a wide range of Linux distributions that you can use to host a ton of different services, including websites from WordPress to form software, to your own personal Nextcloud instance or media servers, or even game servers. There's a whole lot of options, and there's a whole bunch of easy one-click installs that you can use to spin up one of these instances with absolutely no issues. And if you use the link in the description, you could get a $100 60-day credit to go ahead and try out Linode today. And speaking of just switching to Linux, if you're interested in the server space, it starts at like $5 a month. You can spin up an Ubuntu server, go ahead and play around with that if you'd like to. Now with that, the very first thing that you need to do on your Windows machine before you go ahead and make the switch over to Linux is completely switch your workflow to applications and software suites that are natively available on Linux. And this is probably the most critical thing because a lot of people try to install Linux and then they're like, okay, I need Photoshop. And then they try to get it to work with Wine, and that's just simply not going to be very feasible. Me personally, I'm somebody who used Photoshop for 5 years or so before I switched over to GIMP, and admittedly it was a very difficult thing to do for a couple months, but now I'm so used to using the software that I simply wouldn't go back. You can see on this Windows machine I have GIMP right here and it works perfectly fine. So on your Windows machine, it's good to go ahead and start installing some of these free and open source software solutions. Additionally, if you're somebody who uses something like Adobe Premiere Pro or even After Effects, DaVinci Resolve here is another good option for you. It's a fantastic video editor. There's all kinds of different After Effects like things that you could do in their Fusion tab. If I go ahead and open up a project here, you could see how nice this application actually is. They have a separate cut page. If I go to the edit page here, you can see everything that I was doing. This application has fantastic color correction support. This Fusion tab over here is where you do some After Effect like things. And there's other alternatives. If you end up not liking that, you could use something like Blender. And I know there's more After Effects things, but I don't really do stuff like that, so I can't really speak on those. And another application here that a lot of people try to get over working in Linux and really don't switch because of is the need to use Microsoft Office. And even with this, there are a good amount of alternative options. My personal favorite is OnlyOffice. OnlyOffice works really good, and it has a lot of these same UI elements that Microsoft Office has, so people who are trying that out usually have a pretty good time. And of course, you could install OnlyOffice or LibreOffice, OpenOffice, whatever you're thinking about using on your Windows machine, and just slowly try to start using that in replacement of that Microsoft suite. And if you just really need it, something that I honestly do is I use the Office 360 web applications for a lot of my stuff for school and things like that. And overall, it works completely fine. I'm not missing out on any of the functionality I actually need. But of course, this is all on a use by use case basis. So this is something that you're going to have to experiment with and try to migrate over to. And Outlook is another thing. Admittedly, I wish there was a Linux version, but there's not. I found one of the best replacements for this is MailSpring. MailSpring is a fantastic application with a bunch of features that even Outlook doesn't have that I really enjoy, such as read receipts and things like that. But again, if you really wanted to, you could get like a business Office 360 account for like $5 a month and go ahead and use the web version of Outlook. Now, I'm not going to dive too much further into applications. Chances are you know what you use and you can figure out some really good alternatives to try to start playing around with. I have a whole separate video, I think it's 20 or 25 Windows applications that are free and open source, natively available on Linux, so I recommend you check out that video after this one to get a lot of really good recommendations for software you might want to consider checking out. Now with that, one thing you're going to want to familiarize yourself, and it will just kind of generally help with that transition, is Winget. Winget is the terminal-based package manager for Windows. If you get familiar with Winget, it's going to be super easy to start using something like Pacman, apt, DNF, or any of the other Linux package managers. They all generally work the same way, and they all generally work the exact same way as Winget. If I type Winget -- here, it's going to bring up all the different commands that we could use to actually manage these software and packages on our system. Example, if we want to see all the packages we have installed, we could just type winget list. It's going to do a quick search and list everything that is on your system. And a lot of the functionalities, well, all nearly of the functionalities that we have in Winget are available in all of the Linux terminal-based package management systems. And even when you go into Linux, you don't even need to use the terminal to get applications. A lot of the distributions and desktop environments ship with GUI package managers or software stores, app stores, whatever you want to call it, that you could go ahead and use. But there are times that you're going to need to dabble around in the terminal, and just playing around with Winget and getting used to it is one of those things that's really good to do. And just to show you how easy it is to go ahead and grab a package with Winget, we could type Winget and let's search for VS Code, hit enter, and actually spelling this right would probably be helpful. So then we searched for VS Code, and you can see we have a couple different options. We have VS Codium, Microsoft Visual Studio Code, which is Microsoft's package. And speaking of the first tip that I gave you with actually switching to free and open source applications, VS Codium is a wonderful alternative to Microsoft Visual Code. So if I wanted to actually install this, all I would do is copy this package ID here, do winget install, paste in vscodium.vscodium, hit enter. You can see it's downloading from the GitHub repository. It's a very small file, so it's not going to take too long at all. Now it's starting the install. You may get a pop-up depending on the application, which will more match your typical Windows install, but you won't really get pop-ups like this in Linux. And it is done. You can see it installed successfully, and we have VS Codium up and open. So that's more like the actual Linux experience you're going to get. On Linux, you don't really, there's a couple applications you may need to, but overall, you generally don't need to open up a web browser and download exe executable files and install them. Every once in a while, somebody might ship a deb on their website, a .debian package, which is an installer for a type of Linux distribution. But in general, you're going to be able to get everything you need via the terminal or your graphical user interface, which is very similar to the Microsoft Store, but obviously with the Linux packages and Linux repositories and things like that. So once you get a grasp of this and you start kind of switching over your entire workflow to free and open source Linux native applications, that is when you can go ahead and actually start trying out some distributions. And the best way to do that, in my opinion, is through VirtualBox. Here we have Oracle VM VirtualBox. And probably one of the biggest pros and cons of Linux is just the sheer amount of options when it comes to the actual Linux distribution or just the version of Linux that you could actually go ahead and install on your computer. And this application VirtualBox is one of those things that you're going to want to use to initially try out various Linux distributions. They all have various update structures, various package managers, and the main thing that you're probably going to want to pay the most attention to is the desktop environment. The desktop environment is how you're going to actually interact with your system. So if you're looking for something that's more similar to how Windows looks in general, you're probably going to want to try out distributions that use a KDE Plasma for their desktop environment. Which if we go over here to their official website, you can kind of see just how it looks in general. Plasma is lightweight, it's very customizable, and just using just vanilla Plasma, you're going to be able to get around your system pretty easy. Here we have Linux Mint, and this uses a desktop environment called Cinnamon, which is similar to KDE Plasma, but it has a lot less customization options. giving you a lot less things that you could actually break. So this is a really good starter desktop environment that you could go ahead and use. And I recommend just going to some of these like super popular Linux distribution websites, reading up on them, reading what they're good at, reading some of their various philosophies and things, and really just downloading them, installing them in a virtual machine, and playing with the UI and trying them out. And when you land on something that you really like and you want to experiment with more, you can install it on a USB drive using something like Rufus or Etcher and boot it onto your system without actually installing it to see kind of how it works with your hardware. Pop! OS is another really popular option if you have a NVIDIA card. They have a whole separate download for NVIDIA cards. As you kind of start reading and exploring just everything to do with Linux, you're going to find things that are just Linux is fantastic at, and it's perfect, and things that are not as good. And depending on what you want your computer for, you're really going to have to weigh those pros and cons. If you're somebody who plays AAA multiplayer video games, you're going to want to be really cautious in what you're actually switching to, or if you should even switch at all. ProtonDB here is a really good resource to figure out if the games that you play are actually going to work on Linux. So if we go down, Warframe has a gold rating, so it's probably going to work. Hell Let Loose is bronze, so chances are it's probably just not going to work. There's going to be too many problems for you. And you could go through here and find your game. You could see Skyrim works pretty fine. A lot of single player games are going to be perfectly fine over on Linux. So with that, those are the three main things that you need to do before you go ahead and jump into Linux. One, make sure your workflow is generally Linux native with the actual applications you're using. Two, get familiar with Winget. It's a great tool. It's great on Windows, even if you stick with Windows, and it will kind of familiarize yourself with using the terminal. And three, play around with various distributions in VirtualBox. You're going to need a decent system. I think about you need at least 8 gigabytes of RAM to run Windows and a Linux distribution at the same time, because you're going to want to give Linux at least 2 gigabytes of RAM, preferably 4. So that is something to keep note of. If you have an old laptop laying around, like an old ThinkPad or something, install Linux on that and use that for like email and general things, just to get familiarized with these different desktop environments and Linux distributions. With all that, I barely scraped the top on what Linux is and what you need to look for when you're actually switching. I'll go ahead and link down below to a lot of additional resources that might help you out. And with all that said, I would love to thank our YouTube members and Patreon supporters. We have Mitchell Valentino, Sledgehammer, Phil, Matt, Kyle, Timo, Anthony, and Chris Curtis. Thank you guys so much for supporting the channel, and thank you to all the other Techie and Techie Plus members. If you are interested in supporting the channel, you could head over to Patreon or hit the join button down below. Alternatively, just simply subscribing and liking this video is more than good enough for me. With all that said, I do hope you have an absolutely beautiful day, and goodbye.